Handle Your High with Tadayoshi.
And here we go, back with Handle Your High with me, Tadayoshi, and I got my buddy Jon De La Rosa, IFBB Pro, Jon De La Rosa. How's it going, bud?
How are you? Good to see you again.
Hey, man, thanks for being on the show, and I appreciate you taking the time. And you were just in the DR, but
Dubai. Yeah, I've been traveling quite a bit.
So now, just so people don't know, you have a show every year in...
Yeah, it's in Dominican Republic in Punta Cana. We actually are doing another show. It's a regional event. It's not a pro qualifier, but it is coming up here in April. So we're going to do, well, the goal is to have 2 or 3 regional level shows, local level shows on the island, working our way up to the, almost like the nationals on the island, which would be the Dominican Republic coat of arms. Victor Martinez is my partner in that venture. And, it was a great success this year. We're looking forward to next year. We had, I think, 6 new pros come out of there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun and a lot of work. It was a ton of work, but it was all worth it.
So what's the biggest challenge now of doing a show in DR as opposed to here in the States?
Well, yeah, that's the biggest challenge for us was getting hands on deck for everything.
Really?
Right? Yeah. Look, from getting banners done to getting posters printed, everything had to be done for the most part on the island. Now, as you know, me and Victor are here in the United States, so getting a team assembled to get things done for us out there was quite the task. But we did get the job done. Again, the show ran very, very well. We didn't get quite the turnout we wanted.
Is there an audience for it there? Is there a big
huge? The bodybuilding community is huge in the Dominican Republic. Victor Martinez pioneering that for us, and then myself and Juan Morel, and so the bodybuilding community is big. We were unfortunately faced with the battle of the split with the divisions or the leagues, and again, that was part of the part of our struggles was that me and Victor were here in the United States. So we were traveling quite often back and forth to the Dominican Republic to promote the show and let people know that we were coming to the island and we were going to be giving out IFBB Pro cards, which is, it's a huge coveted title that you would like to have so you can get to the Olympia and so on and so forth. But because we were not on the island, we were facing the battle of having the then president of the IFBB on the island. He went with the other league and was telling and threatening all the other athletes that if they even came and attended our show, that they would be banned from competing and that we would never we would never put on another event after this event ever again in the Dominican Republic. So they would never be able to compete, period.
Well, he doesn't have the power to really enforce that.
Well, the problem is that, he doesn't. But the problem is that, you're easily swayed. And he was the only organization on the island. So whatever he said, and we climbed that hurdle and we did really, really well. We had about 130 something athletes all together, which was a good turnout. We wanted more, but we got a lot of buzz. I think when we actually handed over, so one person from Dominican Republic actually turned pro, men's physique guy.
Oh, cool. Very,
very talented young kid. He looks amazing. We're hoping to see him at the Olympia level. But we gave him his pro card and the island went nuts. They were like, wow, they actually gave him a pro card. He can compete with the Arnold, he can compete with the Olympias, all this stuff. So now there's a lot of buzz around it. And
did you guys have a pro division? Did you guys have a pro competition as well?
Yeah, we had a pro. It was a pro-am. So we had 212, we had bikini, and we had classic physique.
Okay. Because when the last year, I went over to Kuwait and judged the Kuwait show. And I remember the physique guy in the amateur who won the overall got his pro card, and they allowed him to compete in the pro, and ended up winning there and qualifying for the Olympia all in one show. He went from like an amateur to like Olympia qualified in one night. Like he was like through the moon, man. He was like over the moon. I sat and talked to him. He was a nice kid. Like he's small. He needs to gain some more weight, but what a night, man.
Yeah, the show we had a tremendous turnout. I mean, Victor and I really went above and beyond what we normally would do as promoters. We had an after party, we had food, we had a pool party the next day. It was almost like an Olympia kind of getaway, except everything was all inclusive. You would go to the resort, everything was paid for. So you didn't have to pay for your grilled chicken, your rice. All your food was taken care of. It was catered to the athletes.
Is it expensive on the island there? I've never been to DR, so I don't know how expensive it is.
So the way we ran our numbers is, let's say you were going to do nationals, right? You got to pay for your hotel. You got to buy your food there. It would run you about the same amount of money, maybe even a little cheaper. You just have to buy your flight and stay at the hotel for 3 or 4 days, or you could stay there for a vacation. A lot of people went for a week.
Oh, that's cool.
And again, it's an all-inclusive resort. All Victor and I had to do was we were going back and forth and letting the chefs and cooks know how we wanted the food. So we basically trained the people how we wanted it.
What was the most any interesting stories from the show?
The most interesting story I won't put out there. but I will say the pool party was a lot of fun. We had what was supposed to be a hot body contest that turned into just
like a free for all.
Yeah, free for all, cake and all types of stuff.
I can only imagine, man.
It was a lot of fun. My dad, Pops, was out there having a blast. So.
I bet he was. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Now you said you just got back from Dubai.
I just got back from Dubai about 2 weeks ago.
So that's a place. That's a place I've wanted to go. I've never been there yet. What's it like over there? Like, why were you over there, and what was it like?
So I was out there for the Dubai Muscle Show. I went on behalf of Betancourt Nutrition, who's my sponsor. I was out there meeting distributors and just hanging out with the fans at the Dubai Muscle Show. The event was awesome. There was a ton of people. As you know, going out to Kuwait, the Middle Eastern people love bodybuilding.
They're nuts.
So they came out in droves. But Dubai is beautiful. If the best way that I can explain Dubai, it's almost like Vegas, right? Vegas is big, but where you want to be in Vegas is just that strip.
Right.
You can just drive across it. You're at Vegas in 10 minutes. That's pretty much it. So that's what Dubai is like. It's a very small strip of places that you want to see, and it's all right there in the center of Dubai, and that's it. But the people are amazing. Obviously, you start going outside of where you want to be, the strip, I guess, where us Westerners want to be. You start seeing more traditional stores and restaurants and stuff like that. I love the culture out there. I love the people are just beautiful. They're so welcoming and just loving, and
that was my impression when I went to Kuwait. Was all the people I met from all those countries, they seemed to be very, very welcoming, very, very sort of like hospitable.
Yes.
And like we were chauffeured places, and I didn't even pay for any food. Like
I know.
It's just one of the, and I think it's probably part of the Islamic culture is to really treat your guests well. And you take a couple examples from that in our culture?
One particular story that really stands out is me and Arash Rabar. We went out to dinner. Me, his cousin, Arash's cousin's sister, and Arash. We all went out to dinner outside of Dubai, outside of the center of Dubai, to this traditional Persian restaurant, and the food was amazing. As we're walking in, there was another Persian guy there who was a powerlifter. He flew into Dubai to do the powerlifting event, which he ended up not doing because he was very, very good. He didn't want to risk injury, competing, and because he knew that he was going to win, and he'd rather just pass on that and wait for the Arnold where he could really do some damage. Long story short, the guy was there and didn't speak a lick of English, but he spoke to Arash, and Arash passed on the message that, it was wonderful to have me there in the country of Dubai and supporting them, and bought us all our food, took care of us, and we went out. It was an amazing time, but these people were just awesome. Every experience I had out there, from Kuwait to Dubai, we visited areas when I lived out in Kuwait a few years back. It was just people there are just beautiful, awesome people.
I think that's a kind of a cool thing, especially most people don't get an opportunity to travel around the world and to be sort of other people's guest, so to speak.
Yeah.
and to be admired, and it's kind of a cool. It's a humbling experience for some, and for others, it's an ego inflating experience. I know for you, it's a humbling experience. I know you're a humble guy.
Well, the thing for me is, I always say, God has blessed me with the ability to be a bodybuilder and to do relatively well at it and to have traveled, right? Above all, traveling to me has been the most just wonderful gift. You see things and experience things when you travel that you can't get out of a book. You can't get out of hearing it from a story. You have to live it, and it's for me, it's one of the best things is having to travel. Like, I know a lot of guys in our industry, they complain about traveling so much. I love it. I want to take it all in because I know there's going to be a day, where I might not be able to get on a plane.
Right.
And I'll be able to see the other side of the world, So do it now while I'm young enough and enjoy it and take in those experiences and learn.
I think one of the things that traveling is, now I haven't done quite as much traveling as some have, but I have gotten an opportunity to do some traveling. And what comes across really clearly to me is that the more that I travel and the more I see different people, different cultures, different kinds of cities and opportunities to see these things, what comes across really clear is that the world is becoming much smaller to me.
Yeah.
And before, when I was growing up, I grew up a poor kid, and looking in books and stuff and magazines, thinking, "Oh wow, like that's neat. Like they seem so far away, right? Everything seems so far away." And then when you get there, it's like it demystifies the experience. So it's no longer some fantasy. It becomes real, and the people become real, and it really does. I think it encourages a lot more empathy and compassion to other people. Because it's easy, I think, especially today in today's political climate, it's easy for people to sit and make disparaging remarks about other people's cultures without ever experiencing them.
Yeah, I don't want to quite take it to the political route, but yeah, absolutely, it's a shame that a lot of the people that get mixed up in this political argument that United States is hoorah, and they've got. And I love the United States too, but a lot of these people haven't traveled. They haven't seen the world. They haven't seen or experienced other cultures, other people, the food, nothing. They just hear and see what they see on TV, and that's it. They make their decision. And it's a little sad because, like I said, some of the nicest people in the world have come from, quote unquote, the Middle East, where all these terrible people are supposed to be, and it's so not true,
I think there's terrible people everywhere you go.
I always make the remark, look, there's parts of Chicago I don't want to walk by,
I know. That's why I live in Wilmette, man.
Right? So everybody knows there's parts of Chicago, there's parts of New York, the Bronx. You don't want to be caught alone. Look, there's those people everywhere, but you don't just take one group of people and
extrapolate it over. No, that's true. That's absolutely true. I think, but when you're able to get the opportunity, I think it's wonderful that you share that, because I see you sharing some of the stuff on your social media, your experiences, and it's awesome. So I think I saw you with the whole get up. You had that was awesome. I always wanted to get one of those, man. Like go to what it's called. What's it called?
Mosque.
Yeah, go to mosque and participate in those. I've done it in the Buddhist temple. I've done it in my own Christian traditions and other things. But I just kind of like really, to me, there's something very sacred about when people believe in something. I want to honor that wherever I go.
Absolutely. I feel like we're doing a disjustice and a disservice to ourselves if we, we're getting on a plane, we're traveling 20 hours across the world on a plane, and we land and we don't want to learn anything. We just want to go on a beach somewhere. It's like, why don't you take some time and learn about the culture, learn about the food? How are the people? I think, like I said, there's just something to be said about doing that rather than reading in a book.
Right.
It's not the same. It'll never add up. It'll never add up.
I know one of the funny things that I thought was interesting when I went to Kuwait, when I flew in, it was late, and the next day I got chauffeured into the hotel thing, and I was talking to the fella that was with us, and he's like, "Oh yeah, nobody really does anything until like later in the afternoon." I said, "Huh?" And I'm like, "Why?" He says, "It's too damn hot." so nothing opens up. Like nothing opens up until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something.
I know, it's crazy. I mean,
But everything's open till late. Everything's open like all night. That's when it all cuts loose.
2, 3 in the morning, it's open. Yeah.
Which is kind of cool because I'm a night owl anyway. So I'm like, hey, this is perfect. This is my schedule, man. Like, show me where to eat.
Yeah.
What? So it was. So there was a. That's right. The Dubai. And that was in November, right? You went to Dubai.
Dubai. No, I just went
Oh.
2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Just
okay.
got a week and a half.
And now this last year, you recently moved to Florida. So tell me how you like Florida, man, because that was the place I was going to move before I decided to move here to Chicago.
So I just moved to Florida there goes my cat.
Hey, buddy.
I just moved to Florida about a month and a half, almost 2 months ago now. So far, it's been great.
Now you're in like the Miami.
I'm in Miramar, so I'm literally 15 minutes outside of Miami, downtown Miami. It's a little town called Miramar. It's beautiful. I love it. It's been.
I really didn't think that you would move out of the New York area.
It's been very difficult, but as you know, it's something that I needed to do for myself. There was a lot of stuff going on in my life that, unfortunately, when you can't. I needed a fresh start.
Yeah.
That's really what it was. I just needed a fresh start. I needed to escape, get away, start something new, refocus my life on what I thought was important without any judgment from anybody else or expectation from anybody else. I just needed to do it for me. And this is honestly, like I said, it's been the hardest thing I've ever done because I miss my family tremendously. You know how close I am with my family. And I miss them. I miss them every single day. I talk to them every day.
Now your dad and everybody, they at least they can come out and have a nice warm weather in the winter.
Yeah, so it's been tough, but it's also been very good for me. For my soul, it's been good.
Good. So now you went through a divorce like I did. We had lots of conversations about that stuff, and I could totally understand because when I got divorced, I stayed in Pittsburgh for an extra 2 years, and that probably prolonged. It made it more difficult for me to wade through. I didn't probably have it quite as tough on some areas as maybe you did because I wasn't confronted by people and stuff,
right.
And so that was tough. And of course, your departure from your ex-wife was a little stressful for you. The scenario, not regardless. I mean, divorce is stressful for anybody. It was for me. So,
yeah.
And we had lots of conversations about it.
Yeah.
And I think it would definitely sound like a smart decision to extricate yourself. Sometimes just changing your energy, just changing where you live and what you're surrounded by helps.
Yeah. So a lot of it came from, again, like just to touch on what you said, even up until last week when I was in Dubai, I mean, I get confronted. My marriage and my relationship with my ex-wife was very out there. And people it was a good thing that I saw that during our marriage, people kind of looked at us for advice. And
well, you guys seem like guys were like the awesome, happy couple, I know that's what people saw me. Yeah. It's because I was. Yeah. She just wasn't.
Same kind of situation. I mean, I thought everything was rosy, but apparently not. So, even up until last week when I was in Dubai, you still get questions, but it's a totally different thing when you're sitting in front of your family and you're dying inside and you have to pretend like everything's okay because you know that if you're hurting, they're going to hurt. And I don't want my family to hurt. I don't want my friends to hurt. I don't want anybody to hurt. And, I just had to, for the most part, put on this face like, no, I'm okay. I'm doing all right. And just kind of chug along. But every day that passed, not having really dealt with it in the way that I needed to deal with it. And I don't know what that meant, know that I wasn't giving myself the opportunity to deal with it because I was constantly like hiding myself and trying to pretend that I was okay. So I knew that, I needed to make a change and I didn't know what it was. I was trying to figure it out. I've been now separated or divorced, and separated from my wife for almost 10 months now. So, in trying to figure that out, I came across a business opportunity. So one of my good friends, He owns a franchise of gyms out in California, and I had the opportunity. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to take some money and let's go open a gym. And he
Oh,
said, all right,
cool.
let's do it.
What is it, a franchise?
It's a franchise, but this is a completely new business that we're doing together. This gym is called Fitness Systems.
Fitness Systems, okay.
Yeah. The gym that we're going to be doing out here in Miami is going to be called Pro Fitness Miami. We're hoping to franchise them as well through Florida, Pro Fitness Orlando, Pro Fitness, so on and so forth. So I took the business opportunity, and even still, I sat on it for a month, almost 2 months, because I just couldn't really pull the trigger on leaving my family, and
That's a hard thing. That's a hard thing.
yeah, it was really tough. I'd never been. I spent 2 months in Kuwait. That's probably the longest I've ever been away from my family, but I knew I was coming back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though I'm in Florida and I can take a 3-hour flight, I'm used to seeing my family almost every day. You know what I mean?
At the end there, you were living with your family again, right at the end. I
Yeah.
think, right?
When everything went down, I decided to just take what I could and move into my parents' house until we figured out what was going to happen with the marriage. Unfortunately, like I said, the marriage ended. So in that time, while the marriage was kind of, we were going through the divorce, I was just trying to figure out what I needed to do. And everything was just such a mess in my head, because I'm trying to accept the fact that, my marriage is ending, but also trying to play this role for my family and friends. Like, no, I'm okay. I'm doing just fine. It was hard to just juggle all of it. So I spent about nine months in my parents' basement, which was another huge just blow. It was really, really hard for me to wake up down there and like, wow, I can't believe, like,
I'm in the basement of my mom's house.
yeah, just with a few items of clothes and sneakers, and that's it. That's all I had.
When I got divorced the first time, I remember moving back up to Southern California, or back down to Southern California from Northern California, and my mom said, "Come live with us. I always have a room for you." So I did for a little while, and it was very comforting on one level because my mom was there. My mother's awesome. She's loving, and she's like this wonderful, very supportive, never critical. She's always loving to me and didn't ask me for anything. Of course, I didn't accept that. I'm like, "No, Mom, I'm going to pay you some money because that's crap. I'm not going to be like one of those 30-something-year-old dude living in his mom's basement." I was like, "That's not going to be me, okay?" I know. I did. She's like, "I'm sorry, man. I'm not going to do that." But then after about, I think, 6 months, I bought a house but it was good for me to have that time to be close to family. I felt like I needed to be close to people that loved me.
Yeah.
And I think that probably was helpful. I don't know if I was. I know that we talked a lot, and you were very tormented. It was very tough for you, and in some ways, it kind of felt like being close to your family was good, and in other ways, it was kind of like, like you were saying.
There was a lot of there was a lot of hurt and pain involved with what happened. Without making things too open, my family was very hurt as well, and the person that I was married to, I'm sure it's pretty obvious, but they were considered family. They were,
of course,
they were part of us, and it felt like it wasn't just a slap in the face to me. It was a slap in the face to all of us. We had been, again, my family is very, very close, and we had all been so open, warm, and welcoming. And we just all felt like, I got married with the intention of spending the rest of my life with this person. And we all felt the same. We all felt like that was it. I mean, we had plans for children and all that stuff happening when all this happened, So it's it was a shocking blow to all of us. It was kind of hard for everybody in my family to deal with. So it wasn't the best climate for me because I knew they were hurting and upset and, some angry and that didn't help me,
Right.
It didn't help me. I I needed clarity. I didn't need to hear, oh, well, you're going to be better off if this is what happened. Well, it's nice to hear that,
I want to feel it.
So,
well, so looking back now, like having been in the position you're in now, because I definitely, your energy has definitely changed from the last time that I talked to you, at least back in the summer when we,
yeah.
and I'm so happy about that because I really love you, man. I think you're awesome, and you've always been such a wonderful person. You're one of the few people in the bodybuilding industry that I know of that every time I've talked to you, whether we be at a show or whether we're somewhere else, you're always warm and friendly and inviting and honest and very sincere, and that's hard to come by in this.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that your energy's changed, but I know, and it sounded like this move was a big part of that.
Yeah, it definitely what catapulted me to feeling better, honestly better. For a long time I was telling people, no, I'm okay, and I was plugging away at it. I was slowly getting better.
You were looking at Corvettes, man.
I was looking at doing some crazy stuff.
Did you ever get that Corvette? I don't know.
No,
because my boat was yes.
Yeah, I know. I made the wise financial decision to just save money, and that's how I ended up moving here. I got this big old house and stuff. It was worth the wait. So now I'm gonna settle down and get there again. But this move was definitely the move or the part of this whole process that catapulted me into really just letting it all go and accepting what happened. I mean, there's something about you still there?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. There's something about like kind of just waking up alone, and being with your own thoughts.
Yeah. There's that was one of the things that took me about a year and a half. It took me, like you were a quicker study than I was. It took me about a year, easily a year to be able to get to a point where I was comfortable with myself, just being by myself, because I'd never been by myself. But right. I had the advantage and disadvantage of being an identical twin. And so growing up, always had a partner in crime, always had a best friend, always had a buddy, always had someone who had my back, always had someone who loved me. And then I would go and get married, and I always been in these serious long-term relationships. And then I find myself at like 40 something years old, like alone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck, and I thought, well, this is a good test, man. Like, this is your test, man. You need to learn how to be alone.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the last 3 years have been a wonderful testing ground for that. So today I feel so much better just being by myself.
Yeah.
Maybe my dog. I like my dog.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the first, a few weeks here were really, really hard. I had a big old empty house. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. And all I had was my 2 dogs and a bed. And I remember the first day I moved here, one of my coworkers over at Betancourt, he's actually my boss. His name is Joaquin. I called him. I said, can you just, he had the keys to the place. He was doing all the paperwork while I was in New York. And he had gotten the keys. He came to meet me. He lives right down the block. He came to meet me, gave me the key, and he was like, oh, let me help you unpack. I was like, sure.
That's how you know a true friend, my friend, when somebody's going to help you unpack your shit.
So I open up my trunk, and he sees like 5 black garbage bags with my clothes in it.
Real simple.
We drag him in the house, and he's like, that's it? I'm like, that's all, brother, that's it.
Empty slate here, folks. Empty slate.
Again, it was part of my just letting go of all the shit in my life, that wasn't any good for me.
I'll tell you, that's freeing, man. When I moved from Pittsburgh to the Chicago area a little over a year, almost a year and a half ago, I remember throwing away I counted it up. It was like 56 bags of stuff.
Wow.
And once you start throwing stuff away, bro, it's like, man, it gets addicting, man. You're like, I don't need this shit. I don't need this. I don't need this. Yep. It's like, I wanted to get rid of more stuff. It was so liberating. It was like, oh my God, because you get these houses, right? I've been very fortunate to have some nice places, and then the bigger the houses get, the more shit you start to collect, and and it's like, where did I come up with? And then when my wife extricated herself from our marriage, she didn't take a lot. It was because she didn't want a lot. She's like, I don't really want a whole bunch. So she left a bunch of shit. So I was throwing. So I was throwing away her stuff. But it was free. It was a great exercise for me to be able to free myself from things, and it really, really gave me a good sense of what was really necessary in my life.
Yeah,
and
that's how I felt when I got here. It's like I said, it was really hard the first few weeks because you're there and it's like, okay, what next? What do I do? And I remember clearly trying to find things to do to not think. Because I had gotten so used to the last 9-10 months of my life just kind of doing things so I didn't have to think about it. And I remember one day waking up and I had a complete, just meltdown about it. And I said, you know what? This isn't going to break me. It's no longer going to break me, and I'm going to face it. And I sat there and I thought about everything, not just my, the recent things that happened in my marriage, but my entire marriage, my friendships, my relationships, my family. I thought about everything and anything that meant anything to me. And I said, okay, now what do I need and what don't I need? And I, unfortunately I had built up a lot of hurt and pain through what had happened. And I knew that I didn't need that anymore. So I figured out a way to just let it go. And
how did you do that? Just curious, because I just got done talking to somebody else about this today, that one of the hardest things that we do as people in this life is that we bring yesterday's baggage into today and into our future. And that's why it makes it so hard for most people to move on. It makes it hard for them to have success, have better relationships, but move on, even change their bodies, because they're stuck in like an old paradigm, in an old way of thinking.
Yeah. So, for me, the first step was, again, what I had to put myself first. Anybody that knows me knows I love my family. I love my friends. I am usually happy if my friends and family are happy. And I've never been able to put myself first because it never really mattered to me. So being in this home, this big three, I started to why did I need this? I didn't need this big place, So I started to try and let go of things that didn't matter. That was my first thing. And I was like, I don't even need this place. But then I was like, wait a second. I do need this place because the things that are important to me are family. One day this home will be filled with my family. And I started to just honestly, I itemized everything in my life, everything from family to friends to jewelry to clothing to sneakers. I got rid of a ton of sneakers. Just a ton of everything. I just started getting rid of everything. And I just kind of just said, okay, these are the things that I need in my life. Everything else, including my divorce and my ex-wife, I don't need. I don't need to hold on to those things because they're not serving my life any.
We talked about a little bit last summer. I told you, I think I remember correctly. I said, because you said, how do we let go of this stuff? And I said, when that time comes, you'll know how to let go. It's hard. There's no real method. We all just get to that point where we're like, I'm done.
Yeah. And it was really, the saddest thing for me was, I remember looking at myself, again, you just start doing crazy shit. I was in my house. I was like looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I'm not the same person anymore, and it was sad. It was sad because I saw the hurt and pain in my own eyes. And it's like, this isn't me, I'm a happy person. I love people. And I become like this hermit. I didn't want to see anybody. I removed myself from my family and my friends and anything that ever meant anything to me. And even though it was probably the best thing to do, it was still something that I would have never done, So again, it was just, in a way, without me realizing it, I was just removing all the things that, were hurting me at that moment. And little by little, I started to see the things that were going to help me, Again, family, friends. I'm on the phone with my family every day. Some people one of the things that, that person that I was, going through that stuff with would always say, you go to your family for everything. Well, yeah, they're my family. They love me. They're going to guide me the best way they can. But I also, on the other side of this thing now, looking at it, this person didn't have family. That
was foreign to them.
That was foreign to them. So, I guess being removed from the situation, that specific situation, you're able to, as time goes on, I was able to look at the entirety of the situation and why things may have happened. Look, I never know why things happen the way they happen, but I can kind of take an educated guess with what I know and having lived through it.
Yeah, you have a different perspective.
Yeah, you have a different perspective, and you're able to just kind of look at it and accept things for what.
And sometimes when you're deep in the middle of it, you kind of got to wait until the dust settles a little bit before you could. And it was probably, like I said, it was wise to like extricate yourself from that, even just the geography, so that you can be around new smells, new sights, new sounds, new people, new ideas.
The mind is a very powerful thing. So I remember like just driving places. I remember thinking about, man, we drove this place. It doesn't fucking matter anymore. You don't have to think about that. It only hurts you. It only hurts you. And I remember restaurants and this and that. And it's like, I needed to just get away.
I used to, because I did the same thing for probably a little while. And I remember thinking to myself, man, Tad, you were good before you met this person. And then now everywhere I go, it's like a thing reminds me of stuff. It's like, why is that? Like, and it's because I'm the one bringing it up. I'm pulling this baggage with me. Until I could still hold on to the good memories, but not that sad message that goes along with there'll be no more. Yeah. There's just going to be new ones, different ones.
That's it. And that's what became very clear to me when I moved here. It's after a while, I started to take my dogs out for a walk, and I started to look around and like, wow, it's so beautiful here every day. The winter, it's like 74 degrees outside.
Oh, you're making me jealous.
Stunning weather. It's a beautiful scenery. I mean, I started to enjoy my going for walks with my dogs and just taking in the air and creating new memories. You know what I mean? So somehow I just found a way to just let all the shit go in my life, and I'm in a much better place, thank God.
So what I found when I let go of my stuff, that I replaced it with other things. Like, not all of it, but some of it I replaced, like new girlfriends, new this, new that. But not just people, but things and experiences and ideas and new ways of seeing my world. Did you have any kind of epiphanies or any kind of like things that were powerful for you that you replaced?
Well, I tried my best not to get into another relationship because I was single for 6 months before I started dating anybody. And I went on a few dates and it was like horrendous. I was just like, oh no, what is this? But I tried not to, I tried to really just deal with what I had to deal with before I didn't want to fill a void. You know what I mean? I didn't want to replace something just because it was going to feel good for that moment, because I knew that it was only going to be temporary. I loved my wife very, very much. It's really unfortunate that things happened the way they happened. And I knew that trying to replace that wasn't going to do me any good. So, again, I just spent a lot of time with my family and did the things that I've always done as Jon. I love to train. I love to be a bodybuilder. I traveled as much as I could. I traveled a lot during that time. So, I just tried to do things that would fill my heart, but not replace what was gone. You know what I mean? And now I'm in a new relationship and things are going great. The girl's great. I mean, it's been good. Obviously, it's a new relationship, so we're still figuring things out. But, life is good.
Good. Well, good weather, good geography, new experiences. Those are all good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, now, you mentioned the gym thing, so I gotta ask because I used to own a gym, and so tell me what the whole, like, what's the motif of the gym? Like, is there an angle? What is it specific? Does it focus on something? Because it sounded like it's special.
It is. It's going to be a little bit of a different model than what's being offered right now. It's not going to be too much different, but we're opening a gym that's going to be made for anybody that's into fitness, from the bodybuilder to honestly a baseball player, a soccer player. We're going to have turf. We're going to have things for baseball players to. So the idea is, what we're trying to do is we're trying to open a gym that's going to target the pro athletes that all come down to Florida to train. pro baseball players, pro football players, so on and so forth. So we're going to try to give them the best facility for them to come train, get their, their therapy, massage therapy, chiropractic services. We're going to offer all of that within the gym. And we're going to have state-of-the-art equipment, all the newest, best equipment. We're going to load the gym up. It's going to be a 20 to 30,000 square foot gym.
Wow, that's a nice size gym.
Yeah. Well, we need the room for office space and, turf and all that stuff.
Okay. Wow. Maybe I should move down there. Shit.
It's going to be a monster of a gym. I can't wait to, we're currently scouting locations and stuff. So it's an exciting time, a little stressful. We put in a lot of orders already for equipment and treadmills, and it's a lot.
Yeah. It's surprising how expensive that stuff is, man.
Yeah. We're about 200 in the hole right now, but
I know. Lease to own. What was that?
We don't even have a location.
So when do you expect you'll break ground, or you'll expect to like open up, grand opening kind of thing, like next year, or?
Well, we're hoping within the next 6 months. Again, we're looking at, there's one location where me and my partner are in love with. It used to be a PetSmart. It's in the same shopping area or location, strip mall, I guess you could say it is.
So it's near you though, in Miramar?
It's about, it's literally 5 minutes away.
Oh man, dude. There you go.
I mean, it's right off 75 North, which is it's a little highway here. You can see it from the highway. It's
great. That's
perfect location. But the rent is a little high. They want $38,000 a month for it.
That's a big nut to crack.
Yeah, so we're trying to negotiate that. We are also looking at another location that makes us comfortable with what they're asking for rent, but the space is a little small. So, we have, again, equipment that we need to fill the place with, so we need the space to accommodate.
The best scenarios I've always encountered were when they owned the building.
Yeah, yeah.
If that were an option, I would say go for that. If it's not, it's not.
Yeah.
But I do believe the right thing will come along. And
I've become a very big believer in that. When things are meant to be, they will be.
And they always are. You just got to keep yourself in a good positive energy, and the right things will happen. And all we do is mess up our own experience because I think the natural inclination is for us to we have our mindset on one thing, and then we get all twisted, and when it doesn't happen exactly the way. Right. And then we end up missing the opportunities that were really coming at us.
Yeah.
What else is going on? So now, last year, I know it was disappointing for you. You had been in Olympia, and your competitive outings were just a little... but I totally understand why you got hit with some bombshells there with your personal life in the middle of preps and all that stuff. Not the greatest timing for that kind of stuff. So
I was just a little upside down last season, but... this year I'm definitely getting back on stage. I can't wait to compete. Training has been just amazing again.
That's one thing I want to ask you. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're used to training in New York and usually up at Bev's gym sometimes, and which is a great gym, of course. Steve's gym is awesome. Kind of the East Coast Mecca, what they call it. It's kind of everybody trains there, and it's a hard. And I've trained there. I've loved it. I even told Steve that I thought he had a fantastic. I was like, man, for as old as the gym is, I thought, man, this is a clean gym. The weights are picked up. Of course, if you don't pick up your weights, he's gonna fucking throw you out. So, but you got everything in there. So, but it's
need is in there.
But it's a very hardcore sort of gym. And going from that to where you're at now, what has been the hardest? Because you're in the middle of like Juan's over there, everybody's over there. There's endless motivation.
Yeah, that's been the hardest thing, honestly. Like I said, my family, and when I say my family, Juan and Victor and Marco, including Akeem Williams, they're all part of that for me. You know how I am. I'm very, very close to the people that I love, and I spent a lot of time with those guys, and they're still my family. And I'm trying to convince them all to come back down here too with me. But until that happens, give
them a few more winners.
Yeah. How's that shoveling going?
No shit, exactly.
I'll be in my backyard in shorts,
flip flops. Hey, I got a spare shovel. If you want it, I'll ship it to you.
But in the meantime, I found this little gym. The owner of it has been very courteous and just amazing. She's a bodybuilder herself. Well, was a bodybuilder herself. It's called BBL Fitness.
Okay.
And it's a little gym, but it has everything that I need.
It's hard to reduplicate that atmosphere, right?
It is. But I will say this: for me, it has been very, very good.
Right.
And again, it has everything to do with having to walk in the gym and people are like, oh, I just heard.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, that would suck. It's like, you just heard. Well, I've been going through it.
It's like, fuck, I'm trying to come to the gym to train.
Got to clear my head on this.
Yeah, man, I don't want to talk. Now I got to think about it. I got to talk.
Well, it is nice to be able to go to a whole new atmosphere and feel clear.
Yeah. Again, it was just a completely fresh new start for me. Training has been probably the best that I've felt in years. I just don't feel bogged down with anything anymore.
That's
you know, it just I feel fresh. I feel good. I feel happy. You know,
that's good. That's what you should feel. That's the way you're supposed to feel.
Yeah. Every day I get out of the gym, I'm like, I'm thinking about my next workout tomorrow. You know, I'm thinking about what I can do to get better. I've been crushing my back workouts, which has been a lot of fun. I'm just finding that groove. You know, it's been really good.
I think I saw recently on one of your, I don't know if it was you or somebody else. It might have been a Raj posted. So you got some posing stuff you guys do together, and you're off season, of course.
Yeah.
But holy fuck, dude! I tell you this every year, but I'm like, Jesus, man, how you get bigger? Like, fuck. I mean, like, it's just you, your arms and your. I'm like, wow, man. If I was a Raj, I wouldn't be standing next to you and make me feel like a weasel, man.
Raj is a big boy, man. He's a big guy for the classic guy.
He is, yeah, he is.
That was last year getting ready for the New York Pro. You know, it was one of those days. Arash, you know, Arash is a really good dude too.
I love him. He's an awesome dude. I really do like him a lot.
He's become a really, really great friend of mine. We talk very often as well, him and I. It's one of those days where he kind of just called me. He was like, hey, you know, let's get together, let's train. You know, he kind of gave me a kick in the ass, a pep talk, and he's like, you know, you need to see how you look. Or he said, I need to see how you look. So he recorded me, and he was like, this is how you look. And I was like, ooh, wow, I look pretty good.
Well, you never get I've never seen you, like, horribly far off.
No, well, you know, again, last year was just...
I'm talking about, like, Lee Priest far off. Like, that motherfucker used to get, like, 300 pounds, man. He's 5 foot nothing. Like...
No, last year, you know, I definitely had some yo-yoing going on. I was struggling to... my body just wasn't responding. When you're under that much stress, I wasn't sleeping for days. I mean, literally, I'll go 3 days. Yeah, and then, you know, I'm getting on the bike, just cranking away on this cardio. My body's not doing anything. I'm like, yeah, we're not losing a pound.
You can't put your body under that kind of stress. You know, I bury this into my people's heads and look at sleep is incredibly important. It's just as important as your training. It's like,
yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think it's more important to some degree because you can't reset stuff if you don't. Your body will just simply work against you. It will be better at staying alive than you will be of trying to burn fat off.
That's
you know?
right.
So I'm sorry, like you're not going to beat this. And I don't care what anybody says. People say things like, "Oh, I can survive off of 4 hours sleep." You can survive, but you can't be a winner. It's like,
that's for sure. So yeah, I mean, it was one of those days. I got up and Rosh was like, "Come on, let's train. Let's see how you look. Let's get ready for this New York Pro." So I was like, "All right, well, let me drive out there." So I drove out and he recorded me, and he convinced me. He said, "You know, you can do it. You can do the New York Pros. Start getting ready now." So yeah, you know, and that was. You know, training was not, I was kind of going through the motions at that point in my life. You know, I was going to the gym every day. I wasn't missing a workout. It's just not, I don't think I'm capable of missing a workout.
I know how that is though.
Yeah. But, you know, they weren't the most productive workouts. I wasn't pushing myself to get me better for sure.
But we talked about this months back. I'm a firm believer that even though maybe those workouts weren't productive from the standpoint of your body, they're productive for your head.
For my head, yes.
Because breaking your own traditions, your own habits is a surefire way to go spiral downwards in directions you don't want to go.
Yeah.
I've seen people do it. I warn people against it. They go through life challenges and I say, look, man, whatever you do, don't stop working out. Don't stop breaking those habits you have, because even if you don't feel like they're the best, okay, you're not going to crush every workout. But if you stop completely, one day leads to a week, leads to a month, leads to 6 months, and next thing you know, you're a fat piece of shit on the couch watching fucking Donahue or something.
And you're even worse off than when you
exactly. And then you feel hopeless. You feel like, oh my God, I got to catch up now. I said, don't do that. At least you got something to put your fingers into. It's like that's why I didn't. I didn't stop when I went through all my junk. I didn't stop working out. I said no to, even though I wanted to. I totally wanted to, just fucking roll over, go to bed. I didn't do it. I went to the gym.
That's where I was very grateful for my dad and, Juan and Victor. They would literally come on, let's go. We're going to the gym. They wouldn't even let me think about staying home. They were just, I remember Victor and Juan would call me several times like, yo, you coming to the gym today? Come on, let's go. I wouldn't have a choice,
That's good,
so,
though. And
grateful for that.
You mentioned it before, and people don't realize. I was reading a study on happiness and people who live happy lives and what considered happy, successful lives. And it's not necessarily money. It really has to do with people who don't suffer. They have they're able to get through the challenges of life successfully, and they can.
That's it.
Yeah, and what they said, they noticed that when they did this research, the psychologists noticed that there was several things that they all shared in common, as opposed to the people who were plagued with depression or anxiety or these other horrible things that were making it much more difficult for them to have a joyful life. And the one on top of the list was that the people who had happy lives all of them had at least 3 people in their life that would just be on them. They would just be like, we love you. What do you need? No, you're not going to sit there on your ass. Let's go. They had 3 people they could count on, they could call, they could talk to, that they could rely on to give them the kind of loving, compassionate support that.
And I had an overabundance, and I just want to say this on air where everybody can hear. You're one of those people that was there for me, and I truly, I don't know if I could ever repay you for it, but I truly appreciate it. And it was definitely a trying time in my life, but I made it through, pretty good. And, a lot is because I had people like you in my life, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I know I needed it. I had a couple people in my life that just called me, man, like every couple of days or every day. They'd say, hey, you doing all right? Just even if it was just a text. Yeah. And that makes a difference. It makes a difference. And but also, I'll be honest, man, ever since I met you, you just resonated with me. It's something in your personality. It's something in the energy that you have. I see a lot of the energy that I have in myself. And I didn't want you to feel like the world was out to get you. I didn't want you to feel like, because it's not. There's so much. I know that feeling. And especially when you feel like you're because for many years, man, I felt like I'm the last fucking nice guy on this goddamn planet. It's like, why does everybody want to shit on me? Yeah. And it was just my perspective that was skewed. It was not the truth. And so I just wanted to be able to share. And I also believe wholeheartedly, everything I write, everything that I talk about, I firmly believe. And one of the things that I really believe is that we're not here. We're not alone. We're all in this together. Yeah. I take that approach. Even if I disagree with somebody, all right? Even if we disagree about our opinions about whatever, doesn't matter, man. I still love you. It's like we can agree to disagree. Shit, I don't agree with anything my mother says. Yeah. And I love my mother a lot. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. She's the one that taught me that. It's where we'll be in a discussion about something, and I'll say, and then she'll get to that point where we're just not getting anywhere, and she'll go, well, Tad, we're just gonna have to agree, disagree. And I said, okay, I love you, Mom. I love you too, Tad. That's it. That's it. We're done. Conversation over. She's like me. She doesn't bend on stuff. Yeah. So this next year, are you going to be? What's the plan? Are you going to? Have you formulated your competitive plans? I have to ask.
Yeah. No. Well, I haven't quite yet. I'm just kind of getting into the groove things here. I guess you could kind of say that I've been finding my groove the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like I said, when I first moved here, the first few weeks, I would say the first month was really challenging. I was challenging myself in ways that I never challenged myself. I was alone. I was away from everybody. I had to do everything for myself, which is fine. It's something that like I needed to do, but the most challenging part was dealing with what happened, and how it affected my life and how I was going to move forward with my life. So I needed to, and that was part of getting away. I needed to deal with that, So like it took up a lot of my time when I first got here. It was about a month before I started to I was still going to train and looking at locations for the gym that we were going to open, but it wasn't particularly competing wasn't like in the forefront of my thoughts. It was just kind of like, I need to take care of Jon, and now within the last 2-3 weeks, I've been hitting the gym hard. I've been training. Everything's been clicking. It feels good. So I haven't really thought competitively what I'm going to do. I'm looking at maybe the Indiana Pro. But
when is that?
It's the end of March, I believe. I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I know we spoke. I wanted to hit the Arnold, but I want to make sure when I go out, I'm going out swinging, I'm going out for a win, and I have respect for a lot of the guys that I compete with. They're obviously the best in the world for a reason, and I'm honored to be amongst them. But I need something. I need to go out there and prove to myself that I'm amongst them again.
You are, and you will.
So I figured the best bet for my confidence would be to skip the Arnold and maybe not take a third or fourth place or second place and hit another show where I think I can win it and build that confidence a little bit more. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. I would say that just knowing what you have on your docket for the next 6 months, I'd say, the Arnold's not going to be a great one. Just because business, I mean, I know what this is like opening up a gym. So look, I mean, it builds steam. So you're going to and until you get it open and everything's running, and then it's can be the good news for you is you have a business partner who could help. But I would say, I mean, maybe and even though this hits right in the smack middle, it would be a great story. The New York Pro would be a great story to go, hey, it's a big show, yes, but you're not a small name and you're not somebody, and you have the right tools to be able to go there and be successful. And what a great way to go back to your hometown, so to speak.
Yeah.
And with your family and with Steve and everybody else who I know is all rooting for your success as well, then it would be great to go there and have a big win. But if not, come to Chicago again. Because you won here once before. So you might, even though last year was a little disappointing, it's totally understandable based on, I mean, I believe there's momentum in life. And when you had so much negative momentum going in another direction in your life, you're like me, you're like not a quitter. So you're not going to quit on shit. So you're just going to you're going to do this thing out until it's like win, lose, or draw. And that's
the craziest thing is that I'm doing it and I can, I remember several times, it's actually kind of funny because all these stories are coming out now as I'm in a better headspace. But my father and Sean, my business partner, they had been texting before Chicago Pro, and they were like, are you gonna let Jon do this? And the other one would go, well, I don't know, are you gonna say something to him? And I'm like, well, you should say something. I'm like, no, you should say. I'm like, why didn't somebody say something? But you know what? The truth is, no, it didn't matter what anybody said to me. No. I was doing it because I needed to stay occupied. I needed to keep my mind busy. But it's funny because, like I said, now everybody was like, "Oh, we didn't want to say anything. We knew you were trying to keep busy."
When we were talking about it, I remember the main thing that I wanted to get across to you was that because I could feel it in your comments and your voice that you had been deflated, not necessarily professionally. Even though that was a little bit of it too, but it was personally. Your personal power was deflated a little bit, and that was a big hit. And you needed a win. I think you felt like you needed a win, and just going through the motions, just going through the process. I knew that win, lose, or draw. I felt like the cards were stacked against you a little bit because of not from who was competing, but from what was going on. Yeah, the personal stuff. But you needed to be able to do it. Because if you didn't, what would you have done? then you really like it's like, so I felt like, okay, well, win, lose or draw, this can be a win.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly how I took it. Although it was my worst placing ever, I proved to myself one of the most important things is staying true to myself and believing in myself no matter what, right? It took a lot for me to continue on in the year that I did, right? I mean, I started at the Arnold in March, and I ended up competing through July almost. And going through everything that I was going through, so it proved to me that I can and I will do what I set out to do, no matter what. And that I'm a strong enough person to see things through, and that I'm not a quitter. And that even though I may not feel the greatest, I'm going to do what I need to do. So it proved to me those things, that I'm a strong person, that I can still do what needs to be done, keep my promises to people. That was the biggest thing. I promised a lot of people that I would come out and compete at their shows. And so I knew that I had an obligation to these people. I made a promise. To some people it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean, to me it means something.
It means something. I know what you mean, because this was a big issue. I can't help but reflect, because this was the big issue when I got divorced. My ex-wife, that was the big thing in my mind. It was like, we made promises. Yeah. And so I'm like, so it makes sense to me, man, when you say this, because I know the kind of person you are. And like, this is going through, even though you're not saying it directly, this is going through a person's head. Like, hey man, like, I'm a person of my word. I'm not going to be like other people that I know, or other people that, I can't be that way, because I know the pain that it causes.
Right.
Correct. So to speak. And so,
that's exactly where my head was at.
So
that's why I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it no matter what. I don't care if it kills me. I'm going to get it done. And I did. And, unfortunately, like I said, walking off the stage in Chicago, you saw me. I was in tears. I was
proud of you, because I knew what you'd been through. Yeah. But I knew that it was stacked against you, man. You just weren't in the right space, and your body cannot perform. I don't care what anybody says, man. It's not just about what you eat, what you do. You can do all that stuff right, but your mind has to be in the right place. Your stress hormones, everything. It's all, our brains control everything.
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, regardless of what people think as bodybuilders, we are athletes, and to perform at your highest level as an athlete, you need to have everything going your way. Your mind's got to be right. Your body's got to be healthy. Everything's got to be going.
Because if it's not going that way for you, it certainly is for somebody else, probably.
Right. So look, it sucks that I placed where I placed, but I took something from it. And like I said, walking off the stage, I was distraught, heartbroken, and saddened by what happened.
But we had some good pizza.
We did. We had some. But like I said, walking away from the situation, I'm proud of what came of it, and that's all right.
I am too, man, because I know what you've been through, like I said, and I think that when it comes to that, integrity is shown by how we conduct our lives, not just by the things that we say, but by the commitments that we keep, and the kind of, it really does speak to a person. It speaks. That's again, like, this is the stuff that I sensed so early on, so many years ago, and not just because I thought you. I think the first time I met you was at the Team Universe. It was after you got your pro card, and I said, and I made a comment, because I made a comment on social media about something, and I said, I think I said that. No, I know I said that I thought you had one of the best front double biceps in the business. Yeah. And I still stand by that today. And you thanked me and you went out of your way to thank me for the comment. And I was like, wow, and just the energy you have a very, very wonderful, very gracious energy. And it's the kind that I have always wanted to impart on others. It's what I feel inside. It's the reason why I do the things I do. I do it honestly and sincerely. And so I don't expect anything from anybody from that respect, except it's nice to get a little gratitude from once in a while, but I don't expect it. So, yeah. But that's what I sensed. And so I know that. So, and I think that's also, knowing your story and being friends with you for all these years, I feel very proud to be of what you accomplished so far. And I know I said it last year, I'll say it again, I've said it in your previous, I know you got bigger and better things in you. Your physique's definitely there. You're not old by any stretch of the imagination, so you got many more years than you left. Even though I don't, it's really surreal for me to even think about it. Like, I'm 48, and like this next summer will be 49. Dude, that's almost 50. Dude, like what the fuck? It just seems like.
Here's the. I mean, you look great. Just look at my dad. My dad still acts like he's 20-something years old. That's it. Really, it's up here. Your age is not, what you say it is. It's what you feel.
I just remember being in college or being young in my 20s and thinking about like talking to some guy. I remember talking to a guy in the gym. I was 17, 18 years old. It was in Downey's gym in Corvallis, Oregon. When I went to Corvallis, I went to Oregon State, and there was a guy. He was a Chinese guy, right? He looked great. He was awesome. I'm like, he was shorter than I was, but he looked fantastic. And I was like, hey man, how old are you? He's like, oh, I'm 41. And I'm like, I remember in my head going, oh my God, he's so old. I'm like, man, you look awesome. And I'm like almost a decade older than that.
Well, that's life, right?
Yeah, but now I go to the gym. I go to this Lifetime Fitness here and just near my house, and all the young guys, they all come around. They're like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing this? What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, well," hey. Like, and it's kind of funny because I do realize I look around and I do realize, okay, I'm leaner and I'm bigger than all these guys. I'm only 5'7", so like I'm not like super tall.
Yeah.
On a good day, I'm 5'7".
Same with me.
And but I do realize that. But when you put the kind of years, because it's been 44 years almost into bodybuilding for me, then yeah, I mean, like I haven't stopped. I never stopped. I don't train like I used to. I just can't do it, man. Like I'm gonna rip some stuff. Like literally.
Probably hurting.
Yeah, like, but more importantly, I don't like. I've been doing the different stuff with my diet. I've been doing some a type of intermittent fasting because it's healthy. I'm here for longevity now. But although I will say this, when my daughter, she was with me when we both came to the Chicago show, and since then she's been asking me. She saw you and then she was like, "Daddy, you gonna compete again? I want you to compete one more time so I can see you." She wants to be, because she saw like, us rooting you on, and she knew who you were, so she met you, so she got to see you on stage. She wanted to do the same for me, I think.
She's such a sweet little girl too, man. You did a great job raising her.
I'm so proud of her. There's no way that she could fail in this life because she's like me, man. She's like very sensitive, leads with her heart. But I tell her, like, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, good thing. So we need more people like that in this world.
Don't let anybody convince you that you're bad. Don't let anybody convince you that you're not worthy of all these wonderful things, or that somehow you've done something wrong in this respect. We can always be better at things that we do, but we don't. But we're not bad. Like I don't believe that. Just don't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I messed up a few times in my life, but it was never my intention to cause harm or to be, so I like to look at the intentions first.
Yeah, of course. It matters.
It does matter. It does matter because, gosh, I could say one thing to my girlfriend and she takes it a wholly different way. My intention was to make you feel good. Yeah. You took that one the wrong way, man.
Yeah, in there.
But I'll tell you one thing, my dog never gets it wrong. It doesn't matter what I say. He's always happy. Especially if I say bacon. What are you doing for the New Year's? Are you doing something cool for the New Year's?
No, I was supposed to try and make it down to see my family for Christmas, especially. Unfortunately, one of my best friends growing up, his grandmother passed a few days before Christmas. So, just the whole move and, getting furniture and everything, it's been a very expensive 2 months for me.
I did that.
And I'm not kidding you. All jokes aside, I pulled 5 or 6 black garbage bags filled with my clothes and shoes. That's all I came with.
Wow.
So I needed to buy a bed and, everything.
That's kind of fun though too. That when I remember buying, and I only did something small. I bought like a new set of dishes, and that was liberating, man. I was like, "Fuck, man! I feel like I'm starting a new life, man." Like it was kind of liberating,
Yeah, it is. It really is. And but so I was supposed to make it down for Christmas, and then his grandmother passed, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I really should go." But my mom reminded me. She was like, "John, you have to do what's best for you. That's why you moved out there." Yeah. I know you want to be here for her. I know you want to be here and pay your respects. But is it going to help your life right now? Is it going to make your life any better to stress yourself out, to pay $1,000 before, because it was $1,000 for a round trip ticket to New York, because it was the day before Christmas.
Oh.
So I was like, yeah, you know what? To pay $1,000 for a flight, I can't do it, you know? Because, you know, it wouldn't have just been that. I would have to get dog sitters and it's a mess.
Well, she's right. She's absolutely right. I'm a firm believer. I didn't take that advice sometimes, and when I should have, that sometimes it's good that we have to fill our own cup up first before we can fill up other people's cups. Yeah.
And my mom's been so good. My mom is probably the most heartbroken that I moved out here. Yeah, I'm very close to my mom. Both my parents I'm very close to, but
dude, your dad's a hoot. I just gotta say that your dad's a hoot. He's awesome. I love him.
My mom is kind of going through like empty nest syndrome, I guess. We're all older.
Separation anxiety.
Yeah. So I guess in some way, strangely, having me back home was comforting to her. And now that I'm gone and I'm even further than I've ever been, she's
like, I'm going through this all over again.
But she's actually been very good in understanding of why and I needed to do this, you know.
You see, that's the best thing about, I firmly believe, like, I love hearing stories like this, even though it's kind of sad for your mom, because I know your mom's like, because my mother was the same way, but it tells me something. It's like, this is when somebody says I love you. This is real love. Like, because she knows what's best for you, but she's willing to make that the personal sacrifice, internal emotional sacrifice, and not vie for her own agenda.
Because she would have been ecstatic if I went for Christmas.
Right. Her agenda would be for you to be there. Sure. But instead, her agenda is what's best for Jon. And I think that's how you really know. That's why I know my dog loves me, man.
Yeah. So for New Year's, I'm kind of stuck in the same boat. You know, I'm not going to take a trip down to New York. I'm just going to be here by myself and hanging out. I have the girlfriend come visit, and that's it.
Well, I think we're doing the same. My girlfriend's going into the city. There's this big thing at the Drake Hotel. Like, they do this whole, like, it's like a black tie kind of a thing. And
nice.
She was really wanting me to go, but my daughter's with me, and I just can't. Like, I'm not gonna. Yeah, so I'm like, I said, you go. She had some friends that are going, so you go and do that, and I'm gonna stay home. Me and Keanu, we're gonna play some board games, fucking watch some movies, cook some food, and like celebrate.
Doesn't get any better than
dude,
that.
I am telling you, she thought I was being insane because she's like, you know what? I was like, I want to do it, but this is more exciting to me. Like, my daughter's 9. This is the only 9th 2019 celebration that I'm going to get in her life. Yeah. So there will be years where she's going to be with her friends, doing her thing, partying, like just like we did.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is my time. And she wants to do it.
Like I keep saying, I mean, that's what a good dad would do. I mean, like, I'm at a point of my life where I think we spoke about it. Like, one of my biggest goals. I don't know if you would call it a goal. I guess one of my biggest hopes is to have,
Let's call it a desire. Hope sounds like it might not happen. Desire sounds like it's on the way.
Okay, so my biggest desire would be my own family. I've been, again, that's the reason why I got married and all that.
I'll tell you, Jon, I can't think of a better person that would be that you would just warm right up to fatherhood, man. Just like I did. It will change. I know you've heard this by a billion people. It will change the way you see the world in so many wonderful ways and in so many scary ways.
Yeah. I'm sure. But, I mean, as a child of my father and my mom, I mean, I wanted to, like, hearing you say you want to spend time with I would love that, So just letting you know that's amazing that you're doing that, because how many I know there's a lot. I know myself a lot of parents that are like, oh, just drop the kids off, we're gonna go party, It's like, it's not.
Well, that's what she wanted. That's what my girl wanted me to do, and all their friends who I also know, they're like, hey, yeah, we could get like, you can watch. I said, I want to pawn my daughter off on a babysitter, man. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. I want to actually spend that time, and we're gonna watch movies, man.
Important time.
Yeah. Besides, I've done my fair share. Like I just said, 48. I've done a lot of partying. I've done a lot of my own things. This is so much more rewarding, and the chances are I won't have a hangover next day.
Yeah.
But not that a hangover once in a while isn't so bad, but no, I really do. Actually, I really enjoy. I thoroughly enjoy my time. That was one of the things that I'm not trying to diss my previous wife, but it was important to her when we were married for us to always have our date night, always do this and that. We did all that stuff, and that was really wonderful. But she had already been a mother 3 times over, and then we had Kiana, and it was like, and now I was like a dad for the first time. I'm like 39. I was a dad for the first time. I'm like, this is awesome, and all I wanted to do was like be with her and stay. Like, man, and it was so I felt like waiting till I was almost 40 to have my daughter was probably the biggest blessing, because I was a more mature father. I remember my brother telling me, dude, you're like, our kid's gonna be out, because his kids now are just getting out of high school, right? One of them's already graduated, the other one's graduating this year, and he's like, now we're gonna be free to go travel and party. And I said, dude, what do you think I've been doing the last 25, 30 years? While you guys are raising kids, I was in Vegas, baby. I was doing this. I was like, oh, when I looked good and was young, man.
Smart.
Like, now
I might take that approach now.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, man, it's the reverse kind of approach, but it works good, man, because I'm just good enough. No, but yeah, we're gonna cook some dinner and celebrate this. In fact, I remember growing up, and my brother and I, my mother went out a couple of times, but for the most part, we all stayed home. And it was, I don't know, I guess when she's 9, right? So it won't be until once she gets to be about probably like 12, 13, 14, then her friends will probably start to take a little more precedence. But right now, it's not like I'm like Superman. It's awesome.
So, in the world. Yeah.
Exactly, man. Like, and I know this one thing, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted a daughter, was because, one, I wanted to be able to love on my daughter. I want to be able to shower her with affection and be able to, because that's the kind of person I am. I just can't help it. I tell my friends I love them because I do. I tell my daughter I love her because I do. I tell my mom I love her because I do. It's a wonderful feeling. And I'll give people the secret. I'm the beneficiary when I say it. Yeah. Other people get something out of it too, but I'm the one that feels good too. Yeah. So, but I wanted it because I knew that I figured I could be a good dad in the way that I wanted. That I dated so many ladies and had an ex-wife and a wife who I felt didn't get a good role model. Like, I hate to say that, because it wasn't like their fathers were horrible. It was that they grew up with some deficiencies in their character, and they got some bad examples of how they should be treated. And I thought, man, now I know that you're a father and his daughter. That the father is that girl's first example of what how a man should treat you. And so I treat my daughter with respect and with love. I don't tell her what to do, although we talk about consequences. Yeah. It's like, this is what's going to happen. It's like, and we think through things, because I don't believe I don't believe you teach children how to make good choices by telling them what to do. I believe you teach them how to make good choices by helping them to exercise their judgment.
Right.
And that means that sometimes they're going to have to stumble around a little bit. They're going to have to make some mistakes. Yep. As long as I just got to keep away from the big mistakes, like pregnancy and jail time, stuff like that.
Yeah, but you know what? You'll never end up there with you.
No, she's good. I'm really happy about it. What? So now, so the biggest changes in terms of, because I love, because when I moved from California to Pittsburgh and then eventually here, people were like, it was the weather. It was the weather, like fucking the weather. Like, I underestimated the power of how that made me feel. That, man, it was challenging going from like sunny fucking all year round to like, oh my God, I got to shovel snow and it's cold as fuck.
I totally agree with that, and I totally underestimated the weather. Look, I knew like, oh, we're going to Florida, it's going to be sunny. But I didn't expect to be able to walk out into my backyard now, December 28th, and it be 74 degrees, and like just hang out in the backyard all day in my shorts. And like, there's something about being in the sun where you just feel good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You really do. You just like, man, this is beautiful, and you take in the sights, and it's just stunning, you know? So I definitely underestimated that for sure.
Now, how far are you from the beach?
About 25 minutes.
Oh man, you take your dog to the beach and shit.
Yeah.
And he bet you he loves that shit, huh?
Oh, yeah, yeah. They've been, yeah. So it's been a lot for the. I call them my boys. It's been a lot for the boys too.
So you got two dogs. They're
Two. So yeah, it's two: an American Bully and a Boston Bull Terrier. It's been a lot of change for them, so they've been under a lot of stress, and they've been kind of trying to establish pecking order again. So the little one has been challenging the big one a lot.
Now, how old are they?
4 and 5.
Okay.
So,
I'm surprised that they're going to do that again.
Well, I just spoke to a trainer because it's been concerning to me. They're like my kids, unfortunately.
It's okay. But, starts there.
Yeah, they're like my kids, so I'm like really concerned about them. I reached out to a trainer. I'm like, look, the little one's been attacking the big one. You can't hurt him because he's the big one. Taz is so much bigger and stronger. He just kind of nips at him once, and the little one gets scared. But I'm afraid that one day it might escalate into something worse. So I called the trainer, just kind of heartbroken. I'm like, how do I fix this? Like, what's going on? And she explained to me, the divorce and removing them from my home, then moving them to my parents' house where they were confined to this little space in the basement, and then moving them from there to here has been a lot. And, now they're in a new environment,
They figure clean slate. Maybe I can move up.
Yeah, so the little one is, challenging and trying to establish dominance over the big one, and until I kind of let them both know where they both stand, it's been challenging. So I've had to interesting. I've never really taken this approach with them because when I bought the little guy Flex into the home, Taz was already there. He was already the alpha. So Flex was a little baby. Taz was full grown. He kind of grew up knowing that, Taz is the big guy. We don't mess with him. And then I removed him from that situation. And now it's interesting that I've had to learn. I have to put Taz's food down first, to let him eat first, to help them understand.
Will he try to get the food?
No, that's the thing. I have to stand in between them and make sure that they don't. And then when Taz is done, you feed the little guy, Flex. So it's been a whole learning process for me, which is also taking up a lot of my time. But it's good. It's been good.
My dog, I just have one dog, Conan, and he, we recently got rid of, my girlfriend had a dog, Tyson. He was a really beautiful pit bull. And she couldn't really, I was taking care of him. And I'm like, look, if you really want to keep this dog, I love the dog, but I'll take the dog. It'll be mine. But she ended up giving it to one of her daughter's friends from school, got a couple kids. He's in hog heaven, man. They let him sleep in the bed and shit. He's running the place, man. But when he was here, he was starting to get to that. He was 2 years old. And my dog, of course, Conan's bigger. He's a Rottweiler, and he's much bigger, and he always was able to exert his dominance. But toward the end there, man, he would run it when I would feed them. He would run in, and he would sit right by me. He was waiting for the food, and then he wouldn't. And then my Conan's never had to fight for food. He knows, homie, I get my food, man. He knows I give him whatever. He gets whatever he wants. He's never had to fight for anything. All he gets is love. So he would just back off and wait. And then I'm and I saw him try to come in once in a while, and he would growl. I'm and I don't like that, man. I'm no. Food, we don't. But it's the instincts, right? It's dog instincts.
Yeah.
So I was definitely, but now that he's gone, I'm kind of sad though, because man, I'm I really like the dog, man. He was a good dog, man.
Yeah.
But
big guy Taz is the most loving. He's an American Bully. Everybody thinks he's a pit bull, but he's the most loving dog in the world.
So I'm a firm believer that dogs are a reflection of their owners. So it doesn't surprise me because all my dog wants to do is people, when they come into my home, they immediately go, they would see both. It was funny because they would see both the dogs, and it was Conan that they would be afraid of. He's this big black Rottweiler. And they'd be and then he would walk up to him and they would go, is he okay? I'm yeah, he's okay. And then as soon as he gets up next to him, he'll just go kind of nudge him and Peppy. And then he'll just sit down and all he wants to do is pet you and lick you. And they're oh man, I've never known anyone that came to my house and didn't like him. Everybody liked him. I'm
It's the same with me. Everybody, like even people in the street when I'm walking Taz, are like, "Oh, is he friendly?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's really friendly." 2 minutes later, they're like sitting on the ground with him. And he's crawling all over. I'm like, "Oh, he was friendly."
Told you. All he wants is you give him some food, he'll really be your friend. Do you guys have like?
He's really friendly too. It's just for whatever reason, and like I said, he never attacks anybody, never attacked any animals, but he's been pushing his luck with Taz, and I don't ever want anything to happen. So that's what worried me and why I had to call the trainer.
So did he give you some things to do?
Yeah, like I said, he told me to start putting Taz's food down first, take Taz out for walks separately, and first greet Taz when I come into the house first. Everything has to be like he's number one, you're number two.
Establish the pecking order.
Yeah, and now I have to put Flex in a cage when I leave the house. So Taz gets free roam of the house. Flex is confined to this one little area.
Do you ever wonder how the dogs think of that shit? Like, fuck. Because I used to wonder this. Because I did the same thing inadvertently with Coney. Because my lady, didn't want the dogs in the room when we sleep. But I have a bed for Conan. He's always slept in my room. And I said, look, he was here before you. I'm sorry, but he's earned his right. So he gets in, but she's like, well, my dog. So he would sleep down, and because he had such bad flatulence, he farted out, man. We would put him in the laundry room. So I just put him in the laundry room, man. Like, so he would always. So every night before we would go to bed, I see Tyson be like, giving me the sad face. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, bro, man. I don't want to do this, bro, but you got to go in here. So he would go in, and then he would know. He knew that I would take Conan up to the room, and he would go. And so I always wondered, like,
how do you
feel about this, man? I don't think he felt bad. I just think he wanted to move up. He wanted to move up,
Yeah, of course.
So I'm assuming that I'm sure Taz is probably going, why am I in this damn cage, man? Like, fuck this shit. He's like,
he is. Because I never crate trained them. I never had them in crates. They were always allowed.
Did he whine when you put him in?
The first few days, yeah, he was trying to claw his way out. He was biting at the cage, but you can't get out of him. And I have a camera. I have a security system around the house.
Dude, you can't watch it. You can't watch it.
But I do check in on it. When I leave to the gym or I'm running errands or whatever, I check on it quickly to make sure that he's not hurting himself. Oh. But I don't like to hear him whining.
I know.
No, I don't want to hear that. So I just check, make sure he's okay. Okay, he's done, and I move on.
He's a bit. I'm assuming things are smoothed out.
It's a lot better now, thank God. But it was a challenge, man. And like I said, they're like my kids. So like having to put to see all of this change for them is heartbreaking for me because I know that all of this change has been hard on them as well.
Kind of funny, like you guys had the dogs when you were married, right? Both. So I'm surprised that you got to take the kid because dogs sometimes become like these weird things that people squabble over.
Well, it became that, and I made sure quickly that it ended quickly because I left with nothing. And if my life was going to be ruined, I was going to take the two things in that house that
meant the most to you.
Still loved me.
Exactly. I think my ex asked me if can I take the dog or do you? I said no, he's staying here. I said, you can have whatever else you want, but he's gonna stay. Like I thought it would be shitty. I was like, not only for the dog. Besides,
I actually left the house without the dogs, and it was just killing me inside because I felt wrong to have had to move back into my parents' basement, but two, I didn't want to bring two animals.
I'm back with my dogs.
So my mom saw that it was just like destroying me. So she was like, just go get them if you want them. Like, don't give them up just because you're here temporarily. I was like, really? You don't mind if they're here? She was like, no, go get your dog. So I went and got them.
Yeah, I couldn't see your mom or your dad like giving you shit about your dogs, man. Like not in the state you were in. I'm sorry. Like sorry. It's like
it's me. I'm just constantly thinking about somebody else, and I just. Like I said, having moved back, I was like, man, I can't bring my dogs here. My parents just opened their home to me again at 34 years old. Like, I'm going to bring my fucking dogs too? I can't do that to them.
That guy,
So they were like, "Oh, go get him."
it's funny. That's kind of funny because that was, I think, about the age. That was when I moved in. I was 34. It felt weird though. That was really sort of like.
It was earth shattering for me. Earth
I felt like,
shattering.
I'll be honest, man. I felt like a loser. I felt like man.
Exactly.
I was like, man. I mean, it wasn't like I was moving there because I didn't have any money. It was just that I just was in a bad situation.
Yeah, I felt like I took not one or two steps back in my life, like 100 steps back in my life. Here I was building this family, and we had our home, we had plans for the future, and just everything. We had businesses together, and it just all fell apart so quickly. And it was like, it's like a bomb went off. I'm like, you're looking at the aftermath, and you're like, what happened? That's how I felt, at least.
You guys are on good terms now, or you and your ex, or just not talking? Just like we've done with it, we got our.
We have not talked.
Okay. Well, sometimes I think like I don't really talk to my ex-wife Bernadette very much, except for when we do stuff with Kiana, like
yeah.
But it's I don't think, but it wasn't. I would say it's not the same, but it was kind of the same. but it was. But I know my ex. She does not like conflict. So anything to avoid conflict. So she'd rather just be peaceful, and I appreciate that. I appreciate it because. So she didn't give me a fight on the dog, and she didn't. The only thing she was really insistent on was that that she wanted to share custody, and I'm like, of course, man. Like, I'm not here to take nothing from nobody. Like. Yeah. I just didn't want to get taken advantage of, although I still kind of felt like I did. I'll be honest, this is a truthful show here. Still kind of feel that way, but the good news is that I feel like in life, forget about divorces and all that stuff, but it goes true for all this, that no matter how much pain you go through, if you're able to keep a good perspective, then you learn so much more. You gain so much.
Yeah.
I see so many people who they don't change their perspective. They just see themselves as a victim, or they just see themselves as being wronged, and then they stay there.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
well, I mean, I definitely felt wronged. I definitely felt taken advantage of. And I felt like that for a while, but like I said, at some point I had to figure out, like, no, I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry for myself. There's so much good out there. This is such a big, beautiful world with such filled with such amazing people and so much opportunity. It'd be dumb for me to sit here the rest of my life and say, oh, what
was me? Especially after the first part of our discussion, when you have this really, some people who walk through this, they have a disadvantage. Like, granted, like you and I have a unique advantage, especially you have this really wonderful advantage of traveling. You get to, so it was really a big blessing to be able to travel and to be able to, like, this really gives you perspective. Like, especially when you go to countries where people have to dig holes to go to the bathroom and stuff like that. Like, you're like, my life isn't so bad.
And you know what? That was actually I went to Peru, Lima, Peru. I don't know if you heard of it.
It's on my list to go to Peru this year to do an ayahuasca journey.
Oh.
Yeah. And you talked to Arash about it. I was like, he says, if I go, he's like, I'm coming. I'm like, okay.
I'm with you.
Okay, cool. Well, it's going to happen. I don't know when. I actually talked to Dorian Yates, who's going to be on the show as well. And he has a whole thing in, forget which country it is, and he invited me to come out in July when he's doing it. And you do it with him. He has shamans.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so if you're interested, I'll let you know. And it's like, I don't think it'll be in the middle of any preps, but...
So I went out to Peru, obviously, during all of this, and we were touring the city, and I was out there guest posing. But we went through some really rough neighborhoods too, and again, it was one of those experiences where I was like, wow, things are not that bad,
No, perspective, right?
Yeah.
I think it's important for everyone for us all, like for myself included, to take stock in the things that we have, but more importantly that it sounds so cliche to say it could be worse, right? You always hear that, especially when you're in the middle of a pit of despair. You want to go, the last thing you want to hear is it could be worse. You're like, fucking thanks, man. I don't really want to hear that. It's like, but it could be, and for some people it is, and it's important to sort of take note of that. But I'm very serious about that. Like I've been talking. Part of I have another co-host of sorts who shows up on the show from time to time now, and his name's DMT Mike, and he's done a journey before, and I really am gonna do. I talked to Rosh about it last year. Like we were.
Rosh would love to do it. I know he wants to do it too.
And of course Dorian's all about it. He's all about it. And he, like I said, he hosts these escapes like for it's like a week, and you do like three ayahuasca journeys with their shamans. He's got 2 shamans and it's like you get the VIP treatment thing. You get this. I'm like, this sounds like a good deal. I'm like, but I really am fascinated with. I've done lots of research now on like DMT, on psilocybin, on all the psychedelic mushrooms and stuff, and they all essentially activate this dimethyltryptamine in your brain, and it causes you to sort of detach and have an experience. And it's different for each person. And they say, of course, don't do it if you're like emotionally disturbed, like you're gonna have a bad trip. It's not gonna be good. But the shaman experience is supposed to be good because they lead you, they help lead you, they ask you questions, they kind of lead you, so you always have a good journey. Right. But I've heard amazing things if you're in the right space. Of course, the only caveat is unless you have some kind of if you're prone for psychotic breaks, they say don't do it because that could be a bad thing.
Yeah,
because it can encourage that. But if you're healthy and it's good, then it can be very. Of course, I'm not advocating doing this on a regular basis. This is something that's like I don't know. I gotta ask Dorian about this. Like, how often are you doing this, bro? Like,
I do that all the time.
Because they say, like, most people that I've talked to that have done like a DMT journey or have done an ayahuasca, they say, or even mushrooms, like once when they do the full journey, not just because some people take mushrooms and they get the visual experience. That's different. Yeah. You take a load of them, enough of them that where you have enough DMT that actually you have an experience where you lose a sense of time and space and all these things, and you kind of connect with what I would call infinite intelligence, God, whatever you want to call it. It's amazing. I've heard it's amazing, but that's the kind of thing you want to do like once in a lifetime or once, maybe twice, if they say. But here's the interesting thing. What I've come to learn is that it is actually, which is why I think, and they're starting to do more research now, psychiatric research with it, but it cures people of things like stuttering, of things like, in one trip, they think that it helps rewire the brain.
Wow.
Also, it actually cures people from addictions. Like I've heard
like
that. In like 1 or 2 trips, they literally get like, I heard this amazing recanting of an experience a guy had where he was talking about, I think it was on Joe Rogan's show, where he had this experience. He did I think it was an ayahuasca journey, and he was going through some relationship problems with his wife. They were married for many years, and I guess he went on this trip, and what he experienced was, he said, I experienced all the pain and suffering I had inflicted on my wife over the years as if I were her. He said, I came out of it. And he said, I gave up drinking. I gave up, he had some vices that he was destroying his life a little bit. He said, I instantly had no taste for it. I said, I did not want to do it anymore. And it changed his relationship with his wife. He said, and they had this beautiful relationship. He said that we mended the fences that we were breaking down. And he said, because I saw what I was doing, it made me reflect on myself. He said, it truly made me a better person. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. So like, all the things that I'd ever heard growing up about like psychedelics are completely false. They're like, they're not even based in reality. So I'm still doing my research.
Yeah.
But
the same thing, I'm deathly afraid of anything where I lose control.
Right.
I don't drink. I don't do any of that stuff. So when I heard of this stuff, I think I first heard of it through Dorian, actually. I was watching maybe a documentary or something. I forget what it was, but I remember watching it and I'm like, sounds really interesting. It's scary because it's a drug and you don't have control. But the experiences that people talk about, that's what interests me. It's like,
it's always spiritual. It's always this deeply spiritual.
I will talk about, I'm not going to mention any names, but there's one person that I know personally that did it. And this person had a broken relationship with their father. had been years, probably over 20 years before he had even spoken to his father. Just kind of, once he was old enough, went on, did his thing without talking to his family ever again. He felt like his family, not just his father, but his family was to blame for all the hurt and pain that was inflicted in him through his childhood and so on and so forth. So he went on this trip, and he, not even expecting this, because at this part of his life, it was just like something that he wanted to do. Not really because he had to deal with any deep-rooted issues or anything like that. But this came up. Here he is on this trip, and he's the little boy, but he somehow can understand everything that his father's going through and understand the financial stress and understand the marital stress and all the other stressors in his life where his father wasn't as present as he would have liked to have been. And when he was present, he was yelling at him because he was,
responding to this other stuff.
Yeah. So when he came out of it, he was like, it wasn't me that he didn't hate me. It was just everything else that was going on in his life. And I was just being a kid, and it was a lot for him to handle because of everything else. And so he went back and mended all those relationships that he broke with his.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's
he
cool.
said the best thing he'd ever done. Like he said he never thought about his family. It was like, for him, he was just living his life. He could care less what was going on. But this kind of, made him realize that it was very important for him to go back and make things right.
I think that's I've heard some similar kinds of experiences where it's this sort of very perspective changing thing. It just changes their perspective in so good ways. I've never heard anybody come at it in a bad way.
Right.
If it's done correctly, of course. I'm not. I think people do weird stuff all the time. Like, who knows what they do. But when it's done like this in an intelligent way, especially with the shaman stuff, I think the shamans, for whatever reason, this is passed down from thousands of years in some of these Peruvian jungles and some of these. As a matter of fact, even things like cannabis, which is considered when you go back, I think the root of that word is useful. It's because hemp is one of the most useful plants. You can make rope out of it, make paper out of it, you can make clothing out of it. You can make almost anything out of it. Yeah. And yet we've demonized it here in the States. And in some states you haven't. Go to Colorado, go to Washington, but we've demonized it here a bit because, as a matter of fact, when you look back at some of the old propaganda, it's hilarious to see some of the, the stuff in the 40s and 50s. They did the reefer madness videos. Do you know what some of those really are saying to people? Like, my brother was telling me when he was in graduate school, he was doing some research on it. And what those videos, those little commercials were really telling people, they were talking to white America, and they were saying, and then in the videos you'd see girls smoking weed, and they would dance with these guys who do these like reefer guys, these got black guys, and what they were really saying in those videos, what they were inferring was, if you let your daughters smoke weed, they're gonna sleep with black guys. Oh, wow. That's what they're going to say. It was a totally racist kind of and that scared the crap out of white America. So it's kind of funny, but we never have gotten away from, I think, some of the stigma associated with like cannabis, but I'm sure you can abuse this stuff. Hey man, I've known plenty of people, but there's nobody going out there and dying. Not like they are of alcoholism or of, if the worst that happens is a guy sitting on his couch eating Fritos all day and watching, hey man, I don't care, man. It's better than getting drunk and getting in your car and fucking crashing into shit. Right. But I do think
that happens every day.
Every day, but because we've socially accepted it, it's like, okay, but I do think that there's some.
We've only socially accepted it because that is what government deemed to be okay.
That's right. And I would like to say that we should think for ourselves.
That's right. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Because some of the best people in my life smoke pot.
I know some of those people, and
they're amazing people. So.
And hey, now being in Florida, they have a strange thing. They're trying to protect, from my understanding, I don't know though, they're trying to protect the pain medication industry. Is that my correct assumption?
Yes, absolutely. So in New York now, just coming from New York, from my brother's a police officer in New York, my little brother. So in New York now, you can literally get caught with a pound I mean, a ton of weed, and you get a slap on the wrist. They don't arrest you. They send you with a not even a fine, just like a court appearance date. You got to show up and say, hey, yeah, I got caught with weed, and okay, don't do it again, and go home. That's kind of what it is. You know? Here in Florida, you go to jail.
Yeah, I know that in Florida they have a little more stricter. I think it's because the pharmaceuticals, they're trying to protect the pain, because it's such a great pain reliever.
Yeah, so here in Florida, which it's so funny. Me and my business partner were just talking about this. So Florida has one of the largest opioid addictions.
That's why.
In the world. So, you know, they're trying to protect that because there are a lot of pill consumers here.
They should make sense because there's you know what kratom is, right?
Yeah.
Katom, technically it's pronounced Katom. Most is grown in Thailand, but it can come out of Indonesia and some other places. But I was talking to my girlfriend who's half Thai. You know, she's born in Bangkok, and we were talking about it. She knew all about it. I'm like, oh wow, you know about kratom? She said, yeah, they give it to the workers in the field. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, apparently out there, because it's such hard labor, like these people are working like 10 to 12 hours a day out in their field, like harvesting stuff and doing this stuff. It's like labor work, right? And they get paid nothing.
Yeah.
And so they give them kratom, the leaves. They actually eat it. They just eat it straight, or in a tea, but they usually eat it. And it makes their aches and pains go away, and they feel pretty good throughout the day because it's an opioid. It excites the same opioid receptors, although it's not really habit forming or anything like that. It's not like, it doesn't have the same negative ramifications that, like, say, some of the other opioids do that we've manufactured.
Yeah.
But but they also use it to get people off of opioids and other addictive, narcotics and stuff. And it seems to be working. It seems to be helpful. As a matter of fact, I just read that Thailand just legalized marijuana, so you can actually which is good because before you went to jail for it, and I don't know if I'd want to go to jail in a foreign country.
Yeah, no.
But now they just legalize it.
But
so it's kind of interesting. But I'd heard that about Florida because I would think Florida, I would hope that it would be a progressive state, but apparently in some ways it's progressive in like income tax.
And income tax is great. Yeah, that's one of the bonuses of living. But no, it's a very conservative state. They're not looking to change that anytime soon, which is a little concerning, but. Because I care about, people's health, it sucks to hear that. You there?
Yeah. I'm here. Yeah. You got it?
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I got you. It sucks to hear that, states like this don't really care about people's health. But man, that kind of sucks.
I think they care about their pocketbook. Who's making the money, unfortunately. And as soon as we get, I think, it's my personal opinion that we should take profitability out of the pharmaceutical industry. Like, it should be a not-for-profit. And I think, as well as I think to a certain degree, medicine, I think we should pay doctors well. I don't think they should, but I don't believe that when you're concerned more about your bottom line, then you're not concerned about people's health. And especially when it comes to pharmaceuticals. Right. Yeah.
I can remember countless times, and I have a regular sports medicine doctor that I visit, and a regular physician that I've been going to my whole life. The physician, again without naming names, is ready to write me prescriptions for everything under the sun. I'll call him. I'm like, hey, I just want to get blood work. I'll come in. Hey, you have any pain? What are you feeling? Because he knows that I'm always hurting from lifting and stuff. He's like, oh, you want some? I'm like, no.
I don't need none of that.
No, just take my blood, dude. What's wrong?
I think it's common practice, right? Like my girlfriend, she's a doctor and she's pretty conservative with that kind of stuff because she sees the negative ramifications.
Yeah.
But I do hear it when she manages a clinic here, and especially cold flu season, people come in and what they want is you to give them something.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes she gets frustrated. She's like, well, what do you want me to give you? Like, she's like, what do you want? Like, you want an antibiotic? It's not going to help you.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to work your way through this. Yeah. But I think that's the kind of culture we have, right? We have this culture. Everything's quick and fast. I want my burger in 2 minutes. I want my 6-second news sound bite. and I want really fast cure for whatever that ails me. Unfortunately, just like everything else, especially when it comes to the news, you can't express, like I believe, just like medicine and everything else, you can't express great ideas in 6-second soundbite. You're gonna and that's what but that's a whole nother topic. Hey, Jon, man, I want to say thank you for coming on the show, man. I know we spent almost the 2-hour mark, and I really appreciate your time, man. And you know I love you, man, and I'm so happy that you're in a good place right now. And I'm happy you're in Florida because that means that I might be able to come and see you.
Come crash.
It's like I may need some sun after this stuff. Well, actually, the weather around here has not been bad this winter. It's like it's only snowed once.
Good.
And it was like 40-something degrees today.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Yeah, so I think it gets a little cooler.
I picked a bad year to move then.
Yeah. No, you didn't, because I heard that New York, they're getting bombed, man. They got bombed.
Getting smashed today.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah. Like the last couple of days, man. Flights delayed. Like my mom called me, "Is Kiana there all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, she got here fine." Why? She's like, she said, "You need to get out of your bubble, Ted." She's like, I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, if you watch the news, you know that there's the snowstorm over there." I'm like, "Oh shit, I didn't know that. I'm sorry." But I will. You can guarantee on that I'm going to come up and see you, especially when that gym opens up, man.
Yeah, hopefully within the next few months we lock down the location and we get the ball rolling. I mean, I'd like it to be within the next 4 or 5 months. So I can get through the next few months and just start prepping and stuff and see where that takes me. If I have to pull out of a show, I'll pull out and take care of. Unfortunately, the thing, I'm at a point in my life where the rest of my life really matters. And competing, as much as I love it, it's going to have to wait if it comes to that. I'm trying not to let it, but if it does, I mean, the rest of my life matters. So I got to start taking care of those things.
I would echo what your mother said in some way. I would say, always make the choices that are best for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means starting a prep, and sometimes that means ending one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. It will not make you a bad guy. Even though I know how you are, you don't like to quit on things. Yeah. It's not quitting. You're not quitting on you.
Yeah.
It's one thing to quit. Like some people just quit. Like it's not like you're just quitting.
No,
you're actually. Well, I appreciate it again. Thank you so much for being on the show, man. And I'm gonna ask Dorian about that stuff. See what he thinks.
Text me and let me know.
I will. All right, Jon. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Have a good night.
Handle your high with Tadayoshi.